Welcome to the Triple D Podcast, Donuts, Disability, and Discourse, where host Michael Liner talks to the best in the business about community, impact, business, and donuts. Here's your host, Michael Liner.
Welcome, everybody. We're getting ready. Here we go.
Everybody. Hey.
What's going on, friend?
Hey, Michael Liner. I used to do Social Security disability work for a very short period of time in my career. And
you can talk your way around the game. You can talk your way around it still.
I could, but I choose not to. I choose to stay in the lane that I love so much. Right here is bankruptcy now. So one day I just decided I'd had enough Social Security work and it just wasn't for me. And I knew that Michael was doing the best work out of all the other lawyers I saw day in and day out. So I just started sending him all my stuff and I stayed in my own lane. So I'm a big fan of Michael Liner. I send all of my clients, anybody who has a Social Security disability problem or is applying for Social Security disability, I send them over to my friend Michael. Because a lot of people that I file bankruptcy for are either on Social Security, so we can talk about, where what you're living at, like what that means for people. But historically speaking, bankruptcy is something that a lot of people who are applying for Social Security end up needing to do because you go for a period of time without any benefits. And I think maybe we can start there, Michael, and just assume I fell off my front porch and I have a bunch of broken bones.
Okay. I would say probably a third or more of my clients have some sort of back condition, and at least half of my clients at some point during the period of time that I'm representing them, and this makes sense, think about it, friends, develop some sort of mental health impairment. Now imagine you're forced to apply for these disability benefits and it's going to take you years. So you're going years without working income, and so much around you is changing and you can't keep up with your bills. Of course, you're going to become depressed eventually and anxious. Who wouldn't be? But let's say somebody calls me, they've got a disability claim, they're depressed, they've got a back condition. Here's what the path typically is for them. We're going to help you fill out an application for Social Security disability benefits. I've got a team of people in my office. That's all they do. They fill out applications for people all day long. They're the best at it because it's all they do. But we're going to help you fill out a disability application. We're going to get that sent off to Social Security for review. But then the next step is, after we've made sure that you've completed all of the right paperwork, you're going to wait. Okay? The average wait time just to get an answer from Social Security right now is about 8 to 9 months for your initial application. You're going to wait. You're going to wait a long time to hear from Social Security. And that creates a lot of frustration because you don't know what's happening. You're not getting answers, not only from Social Security, your lawyer, me, we don't have a ton to tell you because we've done our job. Let me explain this to you. There's so much that happens right after we file that application. Right after, the application takes a lot of work. We put that together. Then there's a couple forms we're going to make sure you have filled out. A work history report. We're going to make sure you have a form called a function report filled out. We're going to review those. Then we're going to make sure that we, over the period of time, keep updating Social Security about any changes to your condition, about any new medical conditions that crop up. But once we send that application off and send those first few forms out, we're waiting. And I am waiting for a government employee to pick up a file off their desk and review it. And I hate sounding so negative. I probably am targeted by the government the way that I speak about it. But that's okay.
Don't
Here's
worry,
the reality.
I'm being targeted by all the credit card companies and the banks, so don't worry about it.
Here's the reality. 8-9 months on average to hear back when you're out of work, when you're trying to figure out how you're going to keep a roof over your head, food on your table, that is too long. But that's the average right now in America.
Yeah. That's how our practices really buttress and coming together and come out together. Because as a bankruptcy lawyer, for even for people who have a very presumably, and I know this is not fair to say, but presumably a very obvious case that should be allowed, even those people are still going to wait a tremendous amount of time, even for that initial decision, right? Like, even if you've got all your ducks in a row and you meet all the parameters and it's a done deal, you're still going to wait. And we don't ever really know when it's truly a done deal. And that's kind of the problem, right? And so because people, like, if I fell going out my driveway and I fractured my hip and my leg and this and that, and I had 90, all these things, the doctor says, oh my gosh, this is really bad. You are going to be off work for years, right? It's still going to take you almost 9 months to get an initial decision on the first application.
And what's the good news? And I'm being facetious here, Adrienne.
It's probably going to be denied.
70% of claims get denied,
Yeah.
Which unlocks an entire long-term appeal process that, unfortunately, that's what most of our practice is. It's helping people understand, we're going to be optimistic and hope you get approved, but the reality is most people are going to be denied at first when they apply for Social Security disability benefits, and we're just going to be walking them through this appeal process, getting them ready for when they have their best opportunity to be approved, which unfortunately is about 2 years after you've applied at a hearing with a judge. People are shocked, by the way, I'm just going to add some commentary here. People are shocked when they, find out that 2 years to you and me probably seems quick. When I started doing this work in 2010. Most claims were taking about 4 years from beginning to end.
Yeah. I mean,
Terrible.
it's been years. It's always been at least basically 2 years was what I used to tell people from the very beginning.
Yes.
And again, as I've done bankruptcy all along throughout this process. And the reason I was doing some Social Security work is because I also had a very robust workers' compensation practice.
Right.
And workers' compensation and Social Security disability were very similar.
It's terrible.
Nate Banks is an attorney. He follows you. He wants to know if the new 5-year work history rule will improve initial application approval rates.
Hugely.
Huge, bigly.
So just to give everybody a heads up, some insight into that question, for as long as there's been a Social Security program, what they've done is they used to historically look at the last 15 years of somebody's work history when determining one of the steps in the sequential evaluation, which is, are you able to go back to any of your past relevant work? And the look back period was 15 years. Okay. Now I want to come out and say this right now. The people who are most benefited by this, hands down, people who are over the age of 50. If you're under the age of 50, for your claim, it really does not matter whether you're, if they're looking at the last 5 years of your work or the last 15 years of your work. But here's what's happening. So people understand. Now, Social Security is only looking at the last 5 years of your work. Historically, many people would get denied Social Security benefits because Social Security would say, well, even though you're limited to what we call sedentary work which is generally done in a seated position, very minimal lifting, you had a job 7 years ago that was a sedentary job. Even if you can't get hired in this same place, you can do that type of work. Your limitations wouldn't preclude it, so you're not eligible for disability benefits.
And I will say, too, it used to be I think one of the problems is that the Social Security Administration used to, at least when I was doing this, Michael, discourage people from using a lawyer at the first level, helping them initially apply for the benefits. At the time, the theory was, hey, these people, if they qualify, if they're really disabled, a lawyer should be getting their hands in there. These people should just be filing and getting it without any interference from greedy lawyers. That was really the perspective. And the reality is that when people fill out their applications on their own, they screw them up, just as we've we've been talking about, and they enter into the record. They put things in their file that we can't take out as we come along and try to help them, right? So that's why I think that one of the things I love about your law firm, Michael, is that you do bring people in on those initial stages, and it's not profitable for you to do that. They've made it really hard, for lawyers to make money off of that. We have to give a lot of our time and energy without getting anything in return in order to see the benefit there. And I think that was something that the Social Security Administration was trying to sideline lawyers. And the reality is that if you do not have a lawyer from the very beginning of your Social Security disability claim, you are going uphill, and it's going to be hard. There is no escalator for you.
Here's the reality, Adrienne. If the people who were supposed to be approved for Social Security disability benefits got approved on that initial application, I would be a bankruptcy lawyer like you. Or I would be a workers' comp lawyer, a corporate lawyer. Mm-hmm. The reason why I support myself and have, 50 plus people working here in my office on these claims is because Social Security turns down the people who should be approved. And our job is to carry them through this process. And the paperwork that they send you to fill out right when you apply for Social Security is the paperwork that they later on use to deny you at a hearing when you have your best chance of being approved 2 years later. So if that's filled out wrong, if I can't do my job of protecting you, frankly, from yourself, most people, then it's hard to help people. So yes, it is not the most profitable model to be filling out initial applications for people because we get paid on back pay. And when somebody's approved right away, they don't really have any back pay. But in the long run, I'm able to help more people, and that's what we value.
What if you're a mom and you've got some kids, and the mom, you've been on long-term disability through an employer, you're obviously filing for Social Security. If as a mom, as a parent, you are awarded Social Security, do your kids get it too, or do you just get it, or do your kids get it if somebody passes away? How does it work if somebody in your home qualifies for Social Security disability, for example? Is it just to them? Is there anything to the kids?
Great question. So if there's two types of disability benefits, there's SSD benefits and there's SSI benefits. I already spoke a little bit about how SSI benefits are based on household income, household resources, and you've got to fall below a certain maximum that you're allowed to have in order to be able to have SSI benefits. SSI benefits, which is not based on your work history, they do not come with anything for minor children. There's never any benefits that are eligible to a living spouse. Okay, that's just not how it works. But
it's essentially a needs-based. SSI is just a needs-based payment. It's right.
SSD benefits, however, that is the Social Security disability benefit for people who have worked and paid into Social Security benefits, come with dependent benefits for minor children or a child who is 19 if they're still in high school. Okay. And the amount extra that you receive, it can generally be up to half of the individuals whose work record the disability claim is based on's amount. So hypothetical, and I'm just going to use an easy number here. If the mom who you were asking me about has two children who say her monthly benefit amount is $1,000 a month. She has two children, each of whom are under the age of 18. She will generally get an extra $500 total for those two kids. So even though by herself she'd get $1,000, with two kids she'd get $1,500. The thing to make sure you do, if you're in this circumstance, you apply for Social Security disability benefits and they become awarded, make sure you let the Social Security office know about your minor children. I can't tell you how often that gets missed. I have represented tons of people over time who should be receiving benefits for their children, but unfortunately are not. It is your responsibility to make sure that they're aware of, any dependent minors you have.
Tell me what are the trends that you're seeing in Social Security right now? What are some of the trends? I know I've been catching some of your videos, and I've seen every once in a while you've got some good news from the Social Security Administration. Got any good news coming out of there, or should you just tell us the bad news we should know about?
I'll tell you what I've been working on that I'm really excited about. One big change that you just mentioned, or from a question, was the change in the past relevant work rule from looking back 15 years to only looking back 5 years. That is resulting in a lot of favorable decisions for my clients that we weren't seeing before. What I am really, really, really advocating for, and I am so glad when we have an audience like this, because people on TikTok need to understand we have a voice, but we must use it. My videos, I get every day, let's say between 50 and 100,000 people every day watching my videos, right? Sometimes more, depending on if the algorithm likes it. But in the comments, right, I see so many people who are complaining about the state of the system. This isn't fair. I paid in. You can use your voice. Now, right now, if you apply for Social Security disability benefits, there is a 5 full month waiting period until you are actually eligible to draw a Social Security disability check, okay? So let's say tragedy happens. Today, somebody who gets into a car accident, August 26th, right? 2024, okay? And they have no choice but to file for disability benefits, okay? There is a 5 full month waiting period. August does not count. This is not a full month. September, October, November, December, January, February, March of 2025 is the first month that they could possibly draw a Social Security check. Okay? Now imagine this.
Even if they're in a coma. Even if you're in a coma, it doesn't matter what happens to you. Exactly.
The 5 month waiting period is regardless of what your impairment is. There is no exception to this. Okay, so person gets in an accident. Imagine you suddenly had no money at all coming in because you're out of work until March of next year. What are you going to do when you're living paycheck to paycheck as this is? I see studies all the time, Adrienne, that talk about how most Americans, across the entire country, have less than $2,000 in reserves. Right? If an accident happens, if their car breaks down, if they have to replace a heater in their home, they have less than $2,000 to draw on all that. Imagine they don't have a job anymore. How are you going to get through the next 6 months? That's effectively what it is. People are losing their houses. People are unable to pay for their grocery bills. Let me get to the point. I have been working tirelessly with a group of the other top disability attorneys in the country to try and promote legislation that's out there right now, which is called the We Can't Wait Act, because you can't wait. Exactly. I see somebody posting right now, we become homeless. That's exactly right. That's what happens. To encourage our senators and congressmen to get on board with this, to make this 5 month waiting period disappear. But here's the thing. I am very fortunate. I am able to use my money and my voice because I'm connected and I know people to go to Washington, and I'm able to meet with people and try and make this happen. But most people who are just viewing and watching my videos don't realize you can get involved too. You can help too. What I would love is if everybody who's watching me, I've got a lot of people viewing this right now, took the time to go on your local U.S. congressman or your U.S. senator's website, and you can put something right. They all have inquiry pages where they want to hear from you. They want to know what are the issues that you care about. If everybody could take just a minute to go on there and say, hey, I really would love it if you sponsored, or if you were to get behind legislation to eliminate the 5 month waiting period for people who are applying for disability benefits, okay? Because the more people that are actually taking action and not just complaining, if you're commenting on my videos, but you're not taking the time to fill out a form on your senator or congressman's website, you're a part of the problem. You're not a part of the solution. If you're affected by the problem, get behind the solution. So I'm encouraging everybody that's here to do that. That's what I'm working on. This is change that's actionable. I will say something else, though. We have a commissioner at the Social Security Administration who I've been in some very small, exciting meetings with over the last year. His name is Martin O'Malley. He's a former governor of Maryland, mayor of Baltimore. He was actually one of the final candidates for the Democratic seat for president in 2020. Okay, he's not running in this cycle. But Martin O'Malley has been the Commissioner of Social Security since October of last year. I have seen more positive change in the last 10 months than I saw in the last 10 years combined. Okay? So if there has ever been a time in history where you can use your voice and actually feel like there's going to be change, like you can be heard, it is right now. So I am, again, just going to encourage everybody, reach out to the politicians that are representing you in Washington, D.C. Let them know that this is important to you, to their constituents. I'm going to keep using my voice, and it's loud and it's big, to advocate for these changes to help more of our clients.
Yeah. And I think it's also, it's worth saying right here that it's not a partisan issue. This is, we all pay into Social Security. This isn't about entitlements at this point. It's about money that we've spent in. And I think a lot of people really don't understand that there's supposed to be a safety net that we are paying. It's our insurance. It's Social Security insurance that we're paying every time we get paid through our paychecks. And that's why, it's so important to understand, because this delay, the delay in the process alone, but this delay, the fact that you cannot begin to even get benefits until the 6th month, even if your spouse is in a coma in a hospital and, you're filling out the paperwork, you've got a power of attorney, you've done all the stuff, you're still going to go 6 months without income. And that doesn't matter what your political party is. So, this doesn't matter who you are. We're not here talking politics. We're here talking about things that truly affect everybody in the regular realm of society here. If you are looking at possibly having to file for Social Security disability, if you're ill, if you develop a disease, or you have a medical problem that prevents you from continuing to do the work you've done your entire adult life, that's what this is for. And so it doesn't matter who you are. I don't want anyone to think we're talking politics here, but I do want everybody to listen to Michael when we say you got to do a little bit of advocating, even in the bankruptcy realm. You got to be interacting with your legislators. So much of this stuff, everything we do in life is controlled by somebody that we have the opportunity to vote for. And right now we just have a lot of things that need to be taken care of. So I've got a question here. Yvonne is asking, they are legally blind. Do they need a lawyer, or can they do this themselves? I recommend a lawyer. I always recommend a lawyer, because legally blind is that's needed.
I'm going to give a very pointed answer for this. First of all, people call into my office all the time and say, I want to apply for disability. I'm legally blind. Let's make sure we're talking about the same legal. Okay, there's many different definitions of blindness. If you meet Social Security's definition of blindness, and here's what it is, okay? You must have vision that is 20 over 200, on the Snellen eye test, okay? You must have vision that is 20 over 200 in your better eye, right? So a lot of people say, I'm legally blind. I've got 20 over 400 in this eye and 20 over 60 in this eye. No, you're not legally blind under Social Security's rules, okay? You must have 20 over 200 vision or worse in your better eye, or Social Security is probably going to deny your claim, in which case, if you don't meet that standard, you probably should hire an attorney. I will tell you, those are very challenging cases. Even when somebody does have, close to blindness in the other eye, very often the way that Social Security looks at vision cases is either you're disabled because you meet that standard, or you're not.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've got to try and really impress upon judges is, well, what's it like when you look through your better eye? Is it foggy? So imagine if you were living life like this, where you can't see it all out of one eye and the other eye, it's totally blurry. How would you be able to do any writing at work? How would you be able to check for hazards around you and do so many of the basic job tasks that are required in the world of work?
I had a follower of mine who's a good follower is saying that, you know, a lot of these processes are so scary because you just don't realize how easy it is, how quickly your life can change. You know, people, I know that when I was doing your kind of work, I mean, people feel like they just there's an answer for everything. Oh, I have insurance for this. They just
Right.
think that they're just going to be taken care of. And then you can just wake up one day and you've got, a new medical condition that you never even imagined. And it happens in the blink of an eye, and your entire world changes. And people end up talking to you, a Social Security disability lawyer, and me, a bankruptcy lawyer. This stuff happens fast in a very fragile economy like we have here in the United States. Our economy is pretty fragile. Our people are fragile because we've really created a system here that just really pats people on the butt and says, go do what you can do. If you fall down, we'll drag you back. I don't know what we'll do with you. I mean, there's not a lot of protections for people. You really got to kind of go take care of it yourself. And we're in such a difficult economy where people don't have the savings that they need to get them through a difficult time like this. Yeah. This is a good reminder that if you have short-term and long-term disability available through your employer, it's worthwhile to get it. There's a reason why short-term disability is about 6 months long. It's because it's supposed to get you from that, I just got hurt, to getting approved for Social Security. I mean, that's the theory behind short-term disability. If you go into long-term disability, most long-term disability carriers with employers are going to force you to file for Social Security, help you, or want you to do it, want you to get to a good lawyer because they want to mitigate their losses too. So it's a complicated system. You guys really need to understand that if something happened to you tomorrow, there's no safety net for at least 6 months. And that's only if you can really prove that, that's only for people in a coma. So it's just very, very, very difficult to navigate. Yvonne is asking if somebody's claim is approved, do they pay back payments?
Yes.
And the answer is yes.
Yeah, so you do.
That's how lawyers get paid.
Right. Our fee is a percentage of that back pay from the period of time.
And why don't you explain the fee and how it's set forth?
Sure. So it's a standard fee, and I want to dispel the myth that's out there, because a lot of people will say to me, I really wish I could hire you, but I can't afford an attorney. It doesn't work that way. Social Security disability attorneys, by law, we all work on contingency. We only get paid if you're approved, not until you're approved. And our fee is a percentage of the back pay. There's also a fee cap, which is interesting. The fee, which is controlled by the federal government, our fee is 25% of somebody's back pay, that one-time check that accounts for the period of time going backwards that they should have been paid but weren't because we were busy fighting their claim. But presently, the most that somebody can receive, the highest attorney fee that there can be is $7,200. I do want to let everybody know that's actually going up next month. It's been $7,200 for a while. It's going up to $9,200 because I will tell you the fee cap in my business has not risen with inflation. And these are expensive cases to be working on for people. So it'll allow us to help more people.
I don't think I've done a Social Security case in at least 10 years. And my recollection, it was like 58 or 6100 at that time, and that was 10 years ago. To hear it's still at 7200, that is not a lot of money. If you think about it, Michael's a Social Security disability lawyer, and if you come to him today to file your case, it could be 3 years before you have a hearing, and he won't know if he's even going to make money off of you for 3 years, and he's got to wait. And that's one of the problems. And then the government caps what he's allowed to charge based off of your back benefits. So it's and they do that in bankruptcy too. They control what the lawyers are allowed to charge. Whenever the federal government's involved, they're definitely controlling the fees. But they do that to us too. And honestly, that fee has been low for a very long time. And I know other people would say that's really high. But if you think about what
they don't realize how much work is going into this.
If a divorce lawyer is spending 3 years with you, I promise you're paying more than $9,000. There's just no discussion about it, you know? Yeah. And so to cap that off, especially if, well, we could go on and on about this, but the point here is that Social Security disability, it doesn't cost you anything out of your pocket to get a lawyer, and you're not going to do very well without ensuring that you have a lawyer with you. And that doesn't mean you're going to win, but it sure gives you a fighting chance, because the Social Security process is just so bogged down and jacked up that you need a good lawyer. You just need one. Michael can represent you no matter where you live.
That divorce lawyer, you're gonna be paying them win, lose, or draw. Even if you have the worst representation of all time, nothing goes your way, you are paying them one way or the other. We don't get paid unless we win. We only get paid when we help people. It's a win-win situation. And I just want to remind everybody who's watching me, just because I think we're wrapping up here, I didn't really get a chance to answer the questions that were coming in from my followers, the people who are looking for help. Send me a direct message. I will respond to you. Let me know what I can do to help you. And I just want to thank you again for doing this with me, Adrienne. It's always good to see you. And I look forward to a future of continuing to help people together.
All right. Well, I like that. I like that a lot. I just wanted to say that initially one of the reasons that Michael and I were coming together today, Michael had reached out to me asking me to go live with him, and I was kind of pushing him off. And as many of you guys know, my family has gone through quite a lot in the last month. We had a terrible tragedy that occurred in our family, and we lost our 22-year-old daughter unexpectedly. She passed away from pancreatitis 4 weeks ago. And so when I was kind of trying to get this scheduled, I kept saying, I've got a lot going on. I've had a lot happening. And Michael reached out to me and said, I know you've got a lot going on. His initial purpose of bringing us together today was to tell me something very, very lovely, and that he and his partner had made a decision to support and donate to the charitable organization that my daughter had worked at. It's called the Bistro 163. I don't know if you'd like to take it from here. I know that you're the one that reached out to me, and I do want my followers and everybody who's watching to hear what a really nice guy you are. And we are really truly friends, even though we don't see each other very often. I really do support you and recommend you, and we really do know each other, and we hang out, and I just wanted to thank you for that, and let you have a little bit of a little moment there.
I wasn't going to bring this up, but TikTok pays me every month just because of all the views that come on to our page. And one of the things that we have, it's called the Backwards Hat Gives Back program. And we're donating to a different charitable organization every single month, thousands of dollars that we're giving. Every dollar that I get from TikTok isn't going in my pocket. It's going to help people. And when I heard about your daughter, Zoe, I couldn't think of a better place to give our money from the last month. We're going to be donating money to Bistro 163. We're going to be sponsoring. It's enough money to sponsor several of their events and meals. And I'm just really happy that we're able to to do that for you, which is really because of everybody here in this community. So without realizing it, all of you are actually helping me give to this great organization. And I'm so grateful for all of you. And I'm grateful for you, Adrienne, and years of friendship. And you were talking about how, years ago you decided that you wanted to send Social Security cases to somebody who really focused on this. I'm still a relatively young attorney, I guess, but I was truly a young attorney when you saw something in me and decided to, send the cases that you had to me. I mean, that was probably 10 years ago or more. I was probably
You were young. You had not been
28.
Practicing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you were very good at what you did. It was clear to me that you understood what you were doing. You were working really hard to round out all of the edges, all the hard edges of Social Security. And it was very clear to me that you had a tremendous passion for what you were doing, and you were doing it right. So I was very happy to start sending my clients to you, and I'm happy to support you. And I really appreciate you guys a lot. I know everybody is sorry for my loss. I know you are. Believe me, I know. My family and I are doing well. Thank you all for asking. We've had a tremendous amount of support, and it's stuff like this. The Bistro 163 is what's called a pay it forward restaurant in Port Clinton, Ohio, where we live, where my family and I live. And she just really loved it. It's a place where people who don't have any money to eat can go and get a hot meal with dignity. And they can just walk in and order food, and they don't have to pay for it. And you pay what you can afford to pay. So as if you go to the restaurant, you order an amazing hamburger, and don't forget their tomato bisque. It's delicious. But they have a set prices, and you can either pay what it really costs, or you can pay more so somebody else can come in. And they obviously are a nonprofit organization. And it was just very close to my daughter's heart. She worked there. My daughter was in recovery. She was 10 months sober, and it was a safe place where people who are in recovery can gather, and they can they can rely on each other and be safe and have a wholesome environment. So she started working there because she loved it so much and was starting to make it really something that mattered to her. So I appreciate you all. Remember that this is Michael Liner. Please go follow him. Everybody who's on here right now, please go follow Michael. He's a lawyer with Social Security knowledge. Everybody's going to need some Social Security information at some point. Everybody knows somebody who's filing for worked their whole life, who has back problems, who has a disease, who's fallen apart. Talk to somebody like Michael. He's going to be able to give you the what for. And obviously, he's a really nice guy because he's my friend. And the whole reason we came on here was so that he could help out my daughter's charity. So I thank you very much. Thank you, Michael. Let's do this again in a few months.
Sounds good, Adrienne. Bye, friends. Send me a message. You can DM me, and I will respond if you're looking for help. Take care.
Take care. Okay.
Bye.
And bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Triple D Podcast, Donuts, Disability, and Discourse. Rate, subscribe, and tune in next week for more discourse and donuts.